Hi, I'm Jennifer Underwood. I'm a chemistry and physics teacher at Iowa High School.
Hi, my name is Wesley Reed. I teach biology and biology 2 at Westlake High School.
Hi, I'm Haynes and I teach biology 1 at Sulphur High School.
Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about tech tools. Okay, so tech tools are primarily online resources that you can use in your instruction and assessments. They're going to make your life a lot easier, but they do take a little bit of effort to figure them out. Okay, so today we're going to try to help you out with that a little bit. They're going to help you to engage your students better, and it's also going to help your students take more control of their own learning.
So we know that we need tech tools now more than ever. Since you've already seen webinars on Blackboard and class notebooks, we're going to give you some tools that you can use with those platforms to help you transition into a blended learning environment a little bit easier. I know for myself, I want to continue to build relationships with my students. I want to be able to give them meaningful feedback about their learning, and so we're hoping to do that today.
All right, and here's the best part, and probably what you've been waiting for, how it's going to benefit you as a teacher. So in the event that we have to transition to full-time virtual, it's going to make your life a lot easier starting these tech tools now. It'll give you a way to obtain assessments and results and data and collect all that from students online, and it'll be all there in one place for you. These tech tools solve a lot of your problems you have in the classroom. So a student is missing paper, they miss part of the lesson, you have it all online there for you. All right, and we're going to show you how to do that through this webinar.
All right, Wesley, so as we're looking at going into a blended classroom, I definitely want to hold on to some of the things that we've already used in the past. So I'll continue to use 5E lesson plans and just add some of those tech tools to make learning easier to facilitate for students. So first, we'll remember the 5E lesson plan. So we have engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and then finally evaluate. So the last lesson that I did before we left school on March 13th was about coronavirus, and so I just threw that into a 5E lesson plan template for you all. As we go down, you'll see that I engage students with a Twitter thread, so I just printed it out and gave that to them to read over. In the template, I just connected a hyperlink there.
And this is one of those things where a lot of times another thing we could do to engage is, a video like a news clip or something on coronavirus, and then that's where you could use something like Padlet or OneNote or anything like that, drive your instruction throughout that lesson.
Absolutely, yeah. In this case, I just use social media, but you can use any of those other pieces as well.
Social media is awesome because they're super into that. So
absolutely. So after they read this, I had them explore coronavirus a little bit. It was still kind of new to all of us. We hadn't been inundated with a lot of news just yet. And so you'll see on the lesson plan, I have their objective on one side, and on the other side I have what they will do and what they should turn in, if anything, for that piece. Here I had them complete an investigation. So whenever they click on the hyperlink, it comes up with instructions for using tools at home or materials from home to kind of look at viral structure. And in there, there's a virtual lab as well. So of course I teach chemistry, but for students that needed a little bit of biology review, they could link to the virtual lab.
And so this is awesome because they're looking at this virtual virus diagram, and so that's something you get where they're really using this online resource to figure it out on their own.
Yeah, and I think there was definitely like a cross-cutting concept here as well.
This is where you want them to actually, like it says, explore it themselves. So they're looking at the virus. You can see they can manipulate, look at different sides, and read some information about it and apply it to
absolutely.
what's in their hand.
This is an influenza virus, but it was very similar in structure to coronavirus. And I think that hopefully that will drive some extra questions for students. Obviously, if I was trying to draw coronavirus or influenza on the board, it would not be nearly as meaningful as a 3D model like you see here. So after that, we went to explain, and so explain for me can be a short lecture to students about what they should get from the any new content that they should get from the lesson. It can also be where they're explaining to me or to each other what they explored or what questions they continue to have. And so in this lesson, I actually used a video about the structure of coronavirus, so then they could compare and contrast between corona and flew as they were trying to figure out the best way to prevent coronavirus.
Yeah, and so this is where something like you could use that collaboration space on OneNote to have them explain out concepts, or even just discussing in groups. Well, I guess.
Well, and I think that there are going to be ways for us to facilitate that group work.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely, if we were sitting in class, we would have them in groups explaining and discussing and maybe diagramming. And so figuring out how to move that into a virtual space is exactly.
That's where anybody that's done the Blackboard, got the Blackboard discussion post. That's where you really just want to see what they have figured out from the first part.
It's a great piece for some formative assessment here. All right, and then for the last piece of this lesson, I did an elaborate. So this went back to the PE for the objective, and then on the other side, it kind of their assessment, or really just a little formative assessment, is that they were going to complete a slide on a class PowerPoint. So using those Office 365 live documents really will support us being able to share between and among students.
And that's like one of the coolest things about these, Microsoft 365 live documents, is that they're able to all go in and edit on the same document, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely, and they have the option to to leave comments. So if I'm asking you to look at another group's slide, it's easy for you to do that without editing or moving things around on their actual slide.
Cool.
Even though we show just one way to look at one specific lesson, there's going to be lots of ways for us to embed tech tools that are easy to use for us and for our students as we kind of modify some of our lessons to become more blended learning.
Yeah, one thing we mentioned earlier, I'll pull it up, is the Padlet website. I don't know if teachers are familiar with this, but what you would do is you come in on Padlet and you would create an account. It's free for teachers. Log in, and you would give students, it'd give them a website link and an access code. And this is really good for like that driving question board that we talked about earlier, where students watch a video or look at some kind of engaged piece, and then they are to develop their own questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be just questions, but just any kind of group, feedback you want them to. It would send it in onto like the wall. There's a couple different options, like the wall over there, and you could see each student and the question that they came up with on the board.
I think that's awesome, and then capturing that and plugging it into a Blackboard discussion board as we move through a lesson would be really amazing, and kind of mimic that driving question board that we have in our classrooms. Another one that we can't forget about with Explore is PhET simulations and virtual labs. So HHMI has a great site. Symbaloo is a really great way for teachers to set up their kind of like teaching pathway. So if I had a whole bunch of resources for you to explore and discuss, that might be a way to do it. And then the Concord simulations are really good as well. And
especially for that Explore part, those virtual simulations, those virtual labs are super easy. It doesn't take a super techie person to figure it out. And all you have to do is post a link to your Blackboard or your OneNote or however you choose to do it, and the students can easily access it. And like I said, most of it is, as far as I know, most of it's free.
It's free, and students don't necessarily have to have accounts, which is really super beneficial.
Easy. And even some, like I know PhET has a iPad app that makes it super easy for them just to pull up the app and look up whatever lab you want them to go to in the database.
Absolutely, and it's a great way to kind of differentiate between our students too, because they can, if they already have a good background in a piece, they don't have to spend as much time in that exploration as some other students may want to.
And like I said, people like the virtual labs because, first off, it's it's super easy for that transition into that blended instruction that we might be having to go to potentially this school year. Also, there's no materials are set up for you at a time. So even if you are face-to-face, virtual labs are great to use in the classroom because it's super easy.
Absolutely. And then moving on to explain, if I were to be giving a lecture, if it's a super complicated piece, I might use Screencastify, so I could set up a PowerPoint or use a PowerPoint that I've used in the past and just do Screencastify, or PowerPoint has a feature where you can just record audio for your slides, which is really great because it's just like you're in front of your active board in your classroom.
Yeah, and that's another good thing is think about like if you typically do the lecture PowerPoint with notes, which sometimes you have to. It's super easy to go in, add voiceover, add it online, and so then students are still, it's not like you're just posting the notes online. on their OneNote. They can actually go and hear you talk about it just as if they were sitting with you in the classroom.
Absolutely, and I think that will help to kind of keep students feeling a sense of normalcy whenever they come to class, whether it's in person or online. As we move into the elaborate piece, so here we're going to be using those cross-cutting concepts and maybe relating something similar but not quite the same as our initial engage piece. What are some of the tools that you use to elaborate?
Elaborate, you always got a lot of people use quizzes, Quizlet, Kahoot. You can also even elaborate sometimes depending on the depth or the of the virtual lab. Sometimes the virtual lab's more appropriate for maybe it's a little bit more in depth, and so you want to put it in the elaborate rather than having them figure it out on their own for the explore part. It just depends on what you like. I've done all that. One thing that's really cool that you can throw into that elaborate is if we're trying to do like a group assignment, kind of like with your PowerPoint. It's those live docs. So if you want to show them, we actually made a Word doc, right, that I shared with you.
Oh yeah,
and so
absolutely.
we're going to show you. And what's cool is I'm going to pull it up on here on the screen on the iPad, but I've shared it with Jennifer, and she's going to edit it from her cell phone. So we just picked a just a little template right here. Of course, this is my, I'm under Brandon's name, but I could go here. I could type in here, and while I'm doing that, if it'll show, it can actually show where Jennifer's also editing the document as well. And so it's really cool because you can do. One thing we've done in the past with this is if you have lab groups that are working on a lab, maybe like some kind of virtual lab, you want them to create a report, the students can create a document, one of them share it with the others, and then they can all go in and separately edit it. That's one thing I've done this before as a jigsaw, where you would create a table or something and you have different places for the groups, so maybe they're all reading different something and they go in and explain it to the other class in that jigsaw.
Yeah, or using like different lab report or lab results. Actually,
and they could go in and exactly,
class results.
So that's a great way to collaborate with class results. So that's something easy. You can link it to a Blackboard, OneNote, and that's an easy way for them. They can be sitting at home and they can still be collaborating and sharing information with each other.
Yeah, talk about building those teamwork and group work skills.
So it's really, really one of my favorite. That's really one of my favorite things about the Microsoft 365 is the ability for them to go and all collaborate on a single document.
Absolutely, and I feel like I already have a little bit of experience with Office 365 tools, so just pushing a little bit to learn some new skills is not so tough on me too.
Yeah, and so it's a lot, but if you take the time to go through all that stuff, it really can be beneficial, and all of it is super easy to link to a Blackboard, to OneNote, like I said, and students can easily access it from their cell phone or computer or whatever at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the evaluate part, we're going to bring Brandon in. Him and Wesley are going to talk a little bit about how they assess students.
Hey guys, what we want to talk to you today about is Microsoft Forms. Okay, so I have the CPSB page pulled up behind me here. Everybody knows how to get to that. And we want to show you how to get the forms, how to create a form, how to share it with your students, and how you can really use forms in your classroom to assess and evaluate student progress. So once you get the CPSB page, everybody knows where your email is. Click on your email. That's going to pop you up. Everybody see that's right there. Click that, and it's going to pop you up to your email. And then if you look in the top left-hand corner, you're going to click on those 9 dots. Okay? And if you can get there, you have access to all of your apps. Okay, so email, Word, online, PowerPoint, online, Excel, your OneDrive, your class notebook if you use OneNote. And then what we're talking about here is forms. So click on forms. And this pulls up all the forms that you've ever created. You might not have any right now. These are the forms that I've used in the past. Okay? And they're always there. If you want to date them already, you can always search for them right here and find your forms. So Crystal's going to tell you about your tech assignment later, but this is going to be very beneficial for you to know how to do in order to complete that tech assignment. All right, so behind me you see what opens when you click on Forms in Office 365. So the first thing you do, click on, you have new forms and new quizzes. I tend to use quizzes more than forms because it'll grade it for you. You can assign point values, and then after the student takes it, it'll pop up a grade for them, and it shows them what they made right then and there.
Yeah, and you would want to use like new form if you're trying to just collect information, like if you club, team, something like that, just general information. But if you're trying to grade something and give point value to it, you definitely want to use the quiz option. So
let's go ahead and do a new quiz. All right, it pops up, it says untitled quiz. All right, so let's actually make one. So part of your in-service assignment is going to be to create a form that you're actually going to share with everybody. So it'll be a big team collaboration thing, so that we'll be able to see what you made, and we could even use it in our classrooms, or you could use ours in your classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and start one. It says untitled quiz, whatever you want to name it. Let's do ecology. And then the first thing you do is you're going to add a new question. All right, and then it gives you several options to choose from. You can do a new multiple choice question. You can do a new text where they actually type in the blank and give you a written response. You can do a rating, which is like a poll, or how much they liked the assignment or how much they didn't like the question, or whatever you want to do with polls. There's a date option. My favorite is this one right here. It's called ranking. And that lets them put things in order, which is one of the new features on the EOC exams. Well, it's not EOC anymore. It's the 2025. So the ranking, you put things in order. And I do things like the levels of organization, starting with the atom and going all the way to the biosphere. And I have to take those items and put them in either smallest to largest order or largest to smallest order, something along those lines. They can also upload a file if you want to do that inside of form. So if they completed a written assignment for you and you want to upload them, take a picture with their cell phone, upload it to their forms, and you'll be able to see all that whenever you're reviewing their responses. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Let's go ahead and create a multiple choice question. All right, so as soon as you do that, it asks you what's the question that you want to ask. So let's say, what's the smallest level of biological organization?
And whenever you do the text questions, it's going to give you the option to either do a short answer or a long answer. So short answer would be more like fill in the blank. You do have to be a little careful because if the student misspells it even by one letter, it's going to mark it wrong. So that's just up to you. Some people want to give it wrong if they misspell it, some people don't. Right. If you do the long text, that's when they're going to type in several sentences and you'll actually have to go in yourself afterwards. And you can give them feedback and assign a point value to it yourself.
Yeah, and this is very easy to navigate yourself. If you want to go and explore, you're going to have to for your tech assignment, but it's very simple. So let's give them some options. Let's say the biosphere, we know that's wrong. And we can even mark multiple ones correct if we want to. Mm-hmm. We'll say the cell, and then let's throw them off with, let's say, the atom. We started in class, we'd said, well, the atom is where we started. We said, where does life start at? And they would have to click, the cell. And then we would go in here and click, the cell is correct. Okay. Now, if you want to give them points for the atom, since you talked about it in class, click multiple answers and click on the atom is also correct if you want to do it that way.
That comes into like the select all that apply, which is also big on LEAP 2025.
Exactly. So, and there's only 4 options here. If you want to add another option, go in there. It says option 5. We can add in a biome or whatever you want there. Okay. And then make sure you mark it as required. That means they have to answer it or to give them points. So if they don't answer it, it'll mark it wrong and deduct points from there. And then where it says points, make sure you add a point there. If you don't add a point there, it assigns 0 points. So do 1, or if you want to make it worth 10 points apiece. So it's just your grading preference, whatever you want to do. Whenever you add a new question, though, whatever you just assign points for, it's going to automatically assign that same number of points to the next one.
Another thing you can do is when you click Add New, you also have the option of creating a new section. So you can split your assessments up into Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. You biology teachers are planning for LEAP 2025. If you're designing some of those like task sets where you have task set 1, maybe some standalone items, task set 2, you can split that assessment up into multiple sections, just whatever you choose to do.
And that's a new feature, right?
Yeah.
I want to show you one of the longer forms that I've made that I use as an exam in class. So if we go back to our forms, let's use my ecology exam. So I can show you the responses and stuff that I've collected from this one so far. All right, so it says ecology exam. You can add pictures, you can add videos, and all of these. See, the first one I have here is the ranking, and I'll show you what the kids will see on their phones. So if they're taking an iPad or a computer, they'll see this. And also what it just did to me here, it rearranges all the questions for you. So it's not like number 1 is number 1 on everybody's screen. Yeah, number 1 might be number 10 on this kid's screen and number 5 on this kid's screen. So it rearranges all of them. It also does the answers so that they can't cheat as easily. But see, even here is like a dichotomous key. You can have a picture, and it'll keep all this the same for you, and it'll rearrange these answers for you so the kids can't cheat. You can throw in videos. I want to show you the ranking graphs and charts, which you see a lot of on the EOC, or LEAP 2025. All right, here's the rearrangement. So what they do is hold this down, and they can move it wherever they want. Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, and they have to know that and be able to put it in order for here. And they just drag it and drop it and put it in order. This is what it looked like on their mobile phone. They just drag and drop there. You can actually scroll through and see what it looks like on their phone. Another thing, I want to show you the responses. So all the data that it collects for you as a teacher is just amazing. So click on responses there. I've had 83 students take this test. It tells you the average score right up top. So out of 30 questions, the average score was 19.2. Okay. It says it's active, which means they can still go in and take it. If they wanted to retake it, they can still do that. I can close out this form and not let them be able to take it if I don't want them to. As you scroll through, here it shows you a chart for each one, like how many got this one right. This is for the ranking. So for each specific one, it tells you how many put this one in the right spot, how many put this one in the right spot, and it gives you a nice little diagram you can look at very easily and collect that data. For longer multiple choice, it'll give you different graphs. This is just a bar chart. I really like the circle ones for the multiple choice. It tells you very quick, you can look at it and see if the students had a good understanding of that question or not. You know, did they understand that or not? And it's all color coordinated. And even if you look to the center there, it tells you, 71 of 83 answered this question correctly. So I know, they understood that point. I did a good job of teaching it, and you don't have to revisit that.
If you go all the way to the top, and you can see some people like this. This really easy to look at. You can actually do open in Excel, and it'll generate an Excel document for you with the student's name and their overall score and the answers for each one. You can click review answers right here.
It pulls up each student individually, so this is this kid's test and what he got right or wrong. And if I thought maybe he answered that one right, I can go back in and I can correct this or take that point away if I thought he didn't get it right. However you want to do it. The grading is very easily done there. So I can just click through these kids' names and it'll change and show me. It even tells me how long it took them to take the assignment. So if it says it took him in 1 minute and 20 seconds, I know he just went down the list and, picked something. You can also delete his response if you don't want him to do that. If you want him to redo it again, just click delete response. All right, and when you click post scores, this is what pops up. Every kid who took it and a nice chart, and it shows that it's been graded, or do you need to go in and finish grading that one? Because if you do have a writing response on there, you have to go in and assign points to that one. But it tells you the grade they made, and it's very easy just to transfer that over to JCampus.
One reason why this is a good option for assessments versus other things, which we'll get to, is because this is through Microsoft 365. So you see it doesn't violate any of that Act 837 stuff, and so their names are recorded. They don't have to come up with any kind of code name. The automatic records their name. So that's really easy for on the teacher's end.
All right, one of the last features of forms we're going to talk about is how you share with your students, how you share with other teachers, and then how you can also collaborate with other teachers on the same form. So what you do is you click share, right there, very easy, very intuitive. Now for sharing with students, the main thing you want to do is send and collect responses. That's what you're looking for there. And all I do is click link, you click copy that link, and you send it out however you want. OneNote, Blackboard, Remind.
There's an option to email it to them.
Very easy to get to them.
And then whenever you go to settings over here, whenever you're going to, before you send it out, you can update this even as you're accepting responses. But you want to do things like always make sure that only people in the organization can respond and record the name. It just depends on what you're using it for. But if you're using it for a test in class, you're going to want to make sure that only people in the CPSB organization
Right. Make sure it says record name, otherwise it won't bring that kid's name into the system for you.
I'll do one response per person.
Yep.
Once again, now you can go in and change that if you want somebody to retake it. But what I like is if you're posting it to a OneNote or a Blackboard, and let's say, you can have a start date and an end date. So that way they can't get into it too early. You can shuffle the questions like Brandon mentioned earlier to where not every student has the same questions in the same order. So all that stuff is really nice and easy for you to make sure that they're not cheating. And just little features that make it cool and easy for teachers to use for assessment.
Right. So what I do is I let it shuffle all the questions except for like maybe the last one. If I say that's a written response, I want that one to be the last one so that they answer all the multiple choice first and then get to the writing. And then that way when I'm grading it's a little bit easier also. So I lock question 25 and then everything else is shuffled. And then you can even customize a thank you message, or if you want to do something else after they finish their test, you can click customize thank you message and tell them now go define vocab on page whatever if you're in class, or move on to the next topic, whatever you want to do.
And then when you click share, like you said, you can do link. A lot of people, like you said, he posts a link to the OneNote. The one option I like is right here, is it'll generate also an automatic QR code for you to download. And so a lot of times what I'll do is just pull that QR code up on the board. Nowadays with the new iPhones, every student can just pull up the camera on their phone and it'll automatically pull up the link to the QR code.
Yeah.
So that's one way you can do it. Like I said, that's more of a face-to-face thing. If you're doing virtual learning, you might want to use
the link,
or the embedding.
Right, either on their OneNote or via Remind. It's probably easy to go straight to their phones if you can get them signed up on Remind. All right, so we need to show you how to share this form with other teachers and how they can also use your form in their classroom. So sharing is a template. Say you have a form that's real nice and you've already made it and it looks really good and you want another teacher to use it. Okay, so click on share as template, you copy that link and you can send it to them in an email or a text message, and they click on that and it's there. And then they click duplicate, and now they have your form that they can edit and use however they want. Your form still stays intact in how you've edited. Now, if you want to create one where you can actually collaborate on the same form as somebody, click on share to collaborate. Okay, and that's going to be one online quiz, and like I can add a question, Wesley can add a question, Jennifer can add a question, Briley can go and add a question, and we can all work on the same quiz at the same time.
Yeah, it's a good way for collaborative teaching at a school. You know, if you got several biology 1 teachers and you all want to give the same assessments, and you can all help build it together. So it's not, you know, it's a little bit easier on you.
Right. So share to collaborate is how we actually made our biology common assessments at Sulphur. So we made a form, we added several teachers to it, and we each added in the questions that we thought would be good for a common assessment. And then, you know, at our PLC, we'd talk about, do you like this question, like this question? We took them out, and we narrowed down to about, 10 good questions. And we sent those out to our kids, and then after the end of that one day, we all had all the data collected and had it back, and we could see which teacher needed to focus more on this one, which teacher needed to focus more on that area, and who was doing a good job, and just which kids needed help in general. The good thing about those is those forms still stay in your Forms app.
Yeah.
So next year, same thing. We can, if we want to change it up, we can, or we can send that same one back out. All the work's done for you. It's there, and it's not going anywhere. So we really like forms. We encourage you to use forms in your classroom. Your tech assignment, again, is going to be to make a form to share with all the teachers. It's just a really good tech tool. There's a couple other tech tools me and Wesley want to talk to you about real quick.
Everybody knows quizzes and Kahoot for the most
Right,
part.
yeah.
You know, Kahoot is the in-class game, but you can assign it as homework also, and post a link, and it can record their name and the score. You know, and there's what's good about Kahoot is that there's millions of different Kahoots out there, and you can just go search and find one you want to use if you'd like. Quizzes is same thing. It's just quizzes more at your own pace, but it's a really similar concept to Kahoot. 2 good websites you could use. I'm sure you've heard of those. There's another one called Socrative. Socrative is another one where you can go in, make a quiz. Students can use that interface to take it. They would just go to the website. They would have a code. You could post a link. Very similar stuff. Just remember that none of those are covered under Act 837. So you would have to come up with some form of nickname or code name or stuff for each student in order for you to use it. But those are all options that you can easily add to a Blackboard or OneNote page.
Yeah, I know in the classroom the kids really like playing like quizzes, and Kahoot is very competitive for them. Yeah. Quizzes actually keeps their little character up there and moving across the screen as they get more and more right, and they like to see that interaction with the screen and all the other people in the classroom. So you could do that virtually if you wanted to.
You can.
So, all right, another tech tool we're going to talk about today is Edpuzzle, and I'm sure you've heard about Edpuzzle before, but I just want to show you real quick how much data you can collect from this and how good of a tech tool it is to use, especially if we went full virtual. So you go to edpuzzle.com, make sure you create an account as a teacher, all right, and that's going to give you access to see all the data you can collect from your students. So when you create an account, it'll pop up something like this. It'll say My Content. You might not have anything. I'll go to the home page. You can see behind me here, it's going to have all these videos, and that's what Edpuzzle is. It's just a way to assign videos to your students so they have to watch them, and then you can even put questions into the video that they have to answer either throughout the video, at the beginning of the video, or even at the end of the video, however you want to do it. And it grades it for you. The only thing that's bad about Edpuzzle is that you have to have code names for the students or an 837 waiver. So it's not approved by the parish as a approved tech tool. I wish it would be. It's really, really handy. All right, so in Edpuzzle, you can choose from all these different resources right here of where you want to pull your video from. So there's Edpuzzle, YouTube, Khan Academy, National Geographic, and what you do is you just click on that source. You type in the box up here what kind of video you're looking for, cells, ecology, whatever topic, chemistry, any kind of chemistry or physics topics that you want. They have videos on YouTube about. And you can take that video and go in and add questions in the middle of that video or at the end of the video. Or even if you do like a pre-assessment, you can, ask the kid a question up front, kind of judge where they're at. And you can even see the other teachers at your school. So there's a lot of Sulphur High teachers there that have made videos or videos they use. I can also copy those and use them in my classroom. If you look under curriculum, there's a lot of pre-made videos. You click high school. Science is what we are, but they have all subjects, okay? And then, earth science, biology, just fun videos, forensics. They even have NGSS videos right there. Okay, chemistry, biology, and all these are just a list of videos that you can use, even, organized by topic, by unit. You assign that video to the kids. You can edit it. You can add different questions in there. You can use the questions that have already been pre-made into that video for you. And then you assign to your class which video you want them to watch. And then the types of data you can collect from that video are like watch time. You can see how long the kids watched the video. You can see how many questions they answered. You can see if they got the questions right. It grades it for you. So with Edpuzzle, you're really able to like gauge where the student is and that they've seen the lesson and heard the lesson and they've answered some questions. You can use this as a formative or even a summative kind of assessment.
Yeah, I hadn't used Edpuzzle much, but we all do videos and stuff, and so this seems like a nice twist on the typical like watch a video, do a worksheet type thing,
right.
And something that you could send them to do at home, completely virtually.
So yeah, check out Edpuzzle, check out Quiz, and mainly Forms is a really good one.
Yeah, there's all good options for you to add into that evaluate part of that 5E lesson plan that we were talking about earlier.
Right, and again, we're going to link all this down below for you so that you can click on these links and check them out for yourselves. That's really how most of us learn is, by exploring for ourselves. So we encourage you to go and check out these tech tools that we talked about. We'll link them down below for you so that you can go in and click on them yourselves and explore them yourselves. And that's really how you're going to learn as a teacher is go in and use these tools and explore them for yourself. Try to, navigate them, figure out how would you use these in the fall in an event that we did go full virtual, and just, play with them. Just get some experience with them. And that's how I've learned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all going to figure out what works best for us in our own instruction, and I think not completely trying to recreate the wheel is going to be beneficial. Sticking with what you've already done and just figuring out how tech can kind of complement your instruction.
Right, and we're always here for you if you need to answer any questions, stuff like that. We'll link our emails down below. You can email us, and then when you come in the summer for the in-service part of it, the face-to-face part, we'll be able to actually sit down and help you with it also.
All right, and Crystal's going to give you your tech assignment, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your summer.
Now that you've completed the final video in our webinar series, here's the tech assignment. You're going to create a 10-question assessment using Microsoft Forms. Check out the link below for a rubric for this assignment. This assessment will be relevant to your content, so you'll actually share your assessment with other teachers in the district. We'll collect all the forms for you to access from a library at our face-to-face in-service. Thank you for taking the time to complete this webinar series. I hope you've learned some new things that are going to help you better adapt your instruction, whether we're teaching traditionally or virtually this school year. I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the face-to-face in-service. Please make sure you check your email so that you can RSVP for your spot. I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions.